Hello and welcome, midlife beauties and poetry loving people. Today's guest is a fellow Lisa, and Lisa Andradez. And I don't know if I'm saying your name right because I forgot to ask you before I pressed record. Stupid me. But hang on, we'll get to that in a minute because we need to introduce the wonderful Lisa. She's a poet, a truth speaker, and somebody who, despite chronic illness, moves on with a big heart to hold enough beauty, and she loves a good cup of English breakfast tea. So perhaps pause it now and go and grab yourself a large cup of English breakfast tea. Lisa is based in Liverpool, I believe, and her story is one of resilience and reinvention and raging against the machine quietly in poetic form, which I love. She began writing poetry over a decade ago when burnout had her down and speech felt too heavy. And I can completely relate to that. I've had a similar experience. We can maybe chat about that. And words became her way through. And since 2020, she's been navigating life with chronic illness, and it's invisible, but life altering. Despite all of this, or maybe because of all of this, she writes and she shares and invites others into her world with honesty, wit, and wild tenderness. She's finding joy in little things and, like nature, her neurodivergent discoveries and poetry that doesn't need polishing to shine. So grab yourself a cuppa, everybody, and listen to our little discussion with the Lisa, Bullion, me, and the other Lisa. Welcome, Lisa. Tell me, how do you pronounce your surname?
Andradez.
Andradez.
Yeah.
Yes, a small. I had in my head. Yes, ask Lisa how to pronounce her surname before pressing record.
Everybody gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's missing letters. Sometimes we get extra letters. But
Yeah, you might even get Andrews because they think it's a typo. So tell me, Lisa. Thank you for coming onto my show for a start. Just tell me what is making you flourish right now at this point in your life.
I think what is making me flourish right now is just pressing into kind of the things that I really enjoy doing. So getting out in nature, writing poetry, just kind of trying to enjoy the best of life instead of being held back by limitations. So I have ME, which is a chronic energy limited illness. And for a long time, I kept myself kind of bound by that and didn't really allow myself to kind of experience other things because I was worried about kind of having a flare up or doing too much. But I've realized that there's so much I can do that, I'm limited in kind of exerting too much, or I can't go running like I used to, I can't walk up mountains like I used to, but I've got myself a little electric wheelchair and I can go whizzing around the park still, and I can get out and about, and I can walk really slowly, which actually helps me to see more than I would have if I was just pacing along quickly. So that's helping me flourish at the moment, and obviously writing my poetry and
Yeah,
pushing.
that's really fascinating. I love that perspective of I slowed down, and I mean, you were kind of forced perhaps to slow down, but maybe you wouldn't have done that and wouldn't notice the things that you notice had you not slowed down forcefully. That's a
Yeah.
really amazing realization.
I've always tried to slow down because I'm kind of, well, before I got sick, I was kind of like, 1,000 miles an hour, just trying to do things as quickly as possible. And I always kind of thought I was slowing down, but I obviously wasn't compared to where I am now. And having to walk at a slower pace to regulate my heart rate and to stop myself from going into overexertion, it makes me walk really. I mean, I'm walking slower than some old people on the pavement. So it's quite slow if I don't have my chair, if I've got my stick. But I do notice so much more. I'll come back and I'll say to my husband, "Oh, have you noticed that they've finished building that house?" And he'll be like, "Oh no, I haven't seen that." Have you noticed? Did you notice those flowers growing in the side of the road? Oh no, I didn't see that, because he's kind of going super paced when he goes to work, and I'm just walking along,
Yeah.
in business like a snail.
Exactly. And I want to go to your poetry now. How does that influence your poetry and how you write? That slowing down. Have you noticed a change?
A little. I used to feel like I had to write about kind of so many things, and now I try and focus a lot more on one or two things, and it's kind of helped me really see what's going on around me rather than just kind of picking things out the air
Mm,
um, and trying. So if I write nature poems, which I don't write a lot because it's not my preference. I do write them. I do write them occasionally, but I'll be inspired by things like weeds and wildflowers, as opposed to kind of, vast mountain scenes.
yeah.
And I love the sea, but I'm more inspired by the little things that are on the beach or
Mhm.
or on the hillside or
Yeah.
whatever that I'm standing on or sitting on in my wheelchair. So
Yeah.
I think it's probably changed my perspective to kind of look at the little things rather than the vast,
Yeah.
vastness of nature and lots
Yeah,
of.
that's interesting, isn't it? Because that's I can relate to that, not in the sense of just illness, but I notice a lot. Like I'm really attentive, and sometimes it can actually be a negative because I see too much and I can get overloaded with what I
Mm,
notice. And slowing down for me, I and noticing nature has been really important, particularly in the way I write, because I do write a lot about nature, not in Flucking Flourishing, but I have another publication called Northern Notes, and I've written a lot of poetry as well. So it was really nice to know that another Lisa on another in another country is also writing poetry as well.
mm.
It's a gorgeous thing. How did the um, how did that manifest for you, the writing poetry? What happened to kind of make the words pour out?
I think it started, as I say, well, it was over 10 years ago, really. I went through a horrible experience with somebody who was a close friend. I'd been through a divorce, and that was horrific. And then the person who'd been by my side helping me through that, um, just the friendship just turned toxic. Um, and it was really damaging. We worked together, and that all just fell apart. She basically kind of wrote some horrible stuff about me, complained about me, and stabbed me in the back, basically. Um, and I was just clinging on to life by my fingertips at that point. I felt incredibly let down. I felt incredibly isolated. Had really nobody to talk to who would understand. So I just started writing. I just started kind of writing how I felt, writing kind of an alternative version
Mm,
of the truth. It was still the truth, but it was kind of, I put it in more poetic language,
yeah.
um, just to kind of help me deal with
Mm,
it, to kind of help me process it. And I hadn't fully processed it until kind of a few years ago, but it writing the poetry just really helped me kind of go inside myself and kind of go, okay, what's going on here? How are you feeling? And if all I
mm,
could do was write a poem about feeling desperate and alone and sad, then that helped because I'd got it out and I
mm,
could explain that in a way. And I didn't really share the poems that I wrote then.
yeah.
Um, I didn't have a blog or Substack or anything like that at the time. And Facebook wasn't the place, but I'd kind of kept it all to myself and hid it away. And then probably about 8 years ago,
Mm,
I decided to start writing again because I put it down. I had proper burnout. I just literally came to the end of myself. I had nothing left, and I put it down and didn't explore it again until about
mm,
6 years ago. And then I started looking at life and everything else, and started seeing that actually that writing that poetry really helped me to
mm,
find who I was.
mm.
And so I started writing again, and yeah, got better and better, or more, you know, writing it more.
Yeah, it's interesting, the practice of writing. I mean, my
Mm,
background is as a teacher, and I would encourage kids to, if poetry was something that they wanted to explore, that you have to practice it. Like, it doesn't just come. You don't just
No,
become a poet. Like, you don't just
absolutely.
make beautiful words on a page. I mean, it's like, I mean, if you see old manuscripts of people who are revered poets, I mean, you see they cross out and they
Oh,
change things, and perhaps I think that process of writing poetry as a form of, I mean, it's almost a form of therapy. It's like getting it out. It's better than it sitting inside of you, all those feelings. It's good to kind of,
absolutely. I look back on some of the stuff I've written in the past and I'm like, oh my goodness, like where was I? I was in a hole, you know. I was really bad because obviously I didn't edit it. I didn't go back and kind of correct it, put fancy words in, you know. I just kind of went back and read it and I was like, oh, that was a bad time, or you know, I don't believe some of the things that I wrote. So brought up a Christian, so I relied heavily on God for a lot of it. And I look back and think, oh, you know, some of that, my faith has changed over the years,
yeah,
and
okay.
kind of, yeah, I look back and think, well, I wouldn't write that now. I don't believe that. I don't
Mm.
believe that as much. Or at
Yeah,
all.
it's a kind of, I mean, it's, have you been a journal writer? Like, because I mean, it's
Yeah,
like journaling, but
yeah,
maybe a little bit more.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd
Is
journal and then something could come up and I'd be like,
Yeah,
oh, that's a good poem, and I'll start
yeah,
writing something, and then I'll go back to the journal and, you know, journal
yeah.
it. And so it's a bit of both, really.
Mm,
The poetry and the journaling really
mm,
came about the same time. Although I think the poetry came before the journaling, and
yeah,
then I started to journal more, and
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a good way of processing things or just getting things out, and like you said, it's not necessarily something you really wanna go back and read because
no,
it can be, like, dark or raw, or you c or it's maybe a good chance to think, "Wow, I've come a long way
yeah, and
and
I
I
think
am flourishing."
yeah, and I think now I'm in the place where I really know who I am, kind of. Although I'm dealing with the chronic illness and I'm not the same person as I would like to be,
Mm,
I know who I am. I'm kind of confident in myself,
yeah,
outside of the illness and the restrictions and the limitations. It's about, I am still the same person inside, whether I had it or don't have the
mm,
illness. It's, I know who kind of I am, or I'm trying to
yeah,
write from myself
mm.
now.
Were you, I'm just interested in, like, whether you were interested in reading and writing a lot when you were a child?
Yeah, when I was a child, I wrote a lot. I can't remember what I wrote. I think I wrote a lot of short stories. I read, like, I could read a book in a day. It was just, I'd just never put it down. I'd just sit on the sofa or on my bed and just read and read and read and read. And I loved reading. I just devoured books. And I wrote kind of short stories and things like that. I didn't write poetry when I was little. But yeah, I loved writing. And I think when I went to school, I did English and I loved English in school. But that kind of stopped me in a way of writing because I was getting judged by it. I was getting marked. And
Yes.
I think that's when the little voices in my head were like, "Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you
Not
can't
alone
do it."
there. Yeah, that
That's
is,
what everyone's had those experiences, haven't they? It's the same with art and creativity. It's that kind of, yeah, it's okay, but it's not going to win any competitions. You're not going to get high marks. And I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
well,
it
I'll
takes
stop.
the joy away, doesn't it? That marking.
Absolutely.
I mean, as a teacher myself, I know that sometimes it would be really hard because everybody is on a different continuum, and you have this, like, set of rules. I mean, in Australia, where I have taught predominantly before moving to Finland, yeah, it was like ABC, and it was, it's just really difficult because that kid who's done a C, well, maybe they were a D before, and a C. It's a sort of, I mean, we should move away from those marks. I think it does a disservice, and it's not, the creative journey is so much more than marks,
I
and
think it's that kind of sticking to rules as well. I think it's so much in a poet, and I really kind of am just trying to claim that title of poet now. But as a poet, like for me, I find when somebody says to me, write a sonnet, I'm
Mm.
like, oh shit, I can't write a sonnet. I don't know how to write a sonnet, but write how you feel about this particular subject. Oh, I can do
Mm.
that.
Yeah,
But if I have to kind of, if somebody says to me, kind of, it's got to be, 6 lines, and every other line's got to rhyme, and you've got to put the first line at the end of at the end of the poem.
press on these
And I'm
syllables.
just like, no, I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
Whether it's just because I potentially have ADHD or not, or whether it's just my personality, but I really struggle, and it takes me ages to write poems like that. But writing poems,
Yeah, free poems.
poetry,
Yeah.
free form, is
Yeah.
great. I love that. So I think that's
Yeah.
where the school kind of,
Yeah.
they'll tell you how to write it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be told how to do something. I want to be given the freedom to do it.
Exactly, and that's where beauty can come out of that. Like, I mean, the creative process and the practice, and I mean, those rules that, um, I mean, it can be helpful if you want to write that particular kind of poem. I mean,
Absolutely.
no,
Yeah. And I
it's like,
have written a few, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's an interesting process. Like in my poetry writing, I've noticed that when I take on something like that, I mean, it's really you're using, I think, different part of your brain. When I've written sonnets, I mean, you really have to sit down and think about every word that you use,
Yeah.
and so let alone the topic that you're going to do. And I think I've tried to when it's been what is it, the poetry writing month
Right
anyway.
now.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago I did that. I was writing every day different poems, and I just thought I'll challenge myself, and I did some different Welsh poems, and I mean they have all sorts of rules, and you have to stick to that, and it does take a long time because those are the sorts of things, it doesn't just like pop out of you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta
That's the kind
follow
of
the
thing that
rules.
sucks the joy out of me.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm interested now in your other creative aspects. Like, how else are you creatively flourishing?
I'm just trying to embrace the whole thing. There's a poet that I know called Lorna Rose Gill, and I follow her and do her, joined in with a few of her poetry nights.
Mhm.
Um, and she has a phrase that's put fuck perfectionism, and that's really stuck with me, and that is helping me flourish. So I've started to draw, to sketch.
Mhm.
Anyone that saw my recent Substack post of my attempt at drawing dolphins will be able to see how much I absolutely fuck perfectionism, because they look like nothing like dolphins. But it's just drawing, painting, um, sketching, whatever it is, just without the desire to kind of be perfect. I'm not going to sell millions of art unless people like imperfect paintings, in which case I'll be a millionaire. But it's just enjoying it. It's just the
Yeah.
joy and
Yeah.
the activity of sitting down with some acrylic pens or some watercolors or a sketching pen and just going to town and creating something unique,
Do you find that nowadays the tension between creatively expressing yourself and there having to be a market for everything, like how do you feel about that?
I do feel like I mean, if you go on social media and stuff, you'll see all these people that, would you like to learn to sketch like this? And would you like to draw, landscapes like this? And they come out with these perfect pictures. And I'm like, yeah, I would. But I don't want to. I want to draw a landscape that looks like a landscape looks to me. And, there
With
is a
the
lot of
skills that you
pressure.
have too. I mean, where you are in your creative journey, which is, maybe yeah, you're not a trained artist, you haven't,
No, not at
it's
all.
just like giving it a go, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I did art in school and I was really
Mm.
good at it at the time, and I loved art in school. The art teacher just said, "Oh, you'll never make it. You'll never make it. You're not quite good enough to do GCSE art. So, sorry, you can't take it as a GCSE or GCEs, there were O levels and CSEs
Yeah.
then."
Yeah, I don't
Um,
understand any of that, not
no,
having
no.
lived in the UK, I'm like, "What? Come
the,
on, letters."
the UK people will get it.
Yeah.
You're not good enough to take those qualifications, you
How
can't.
to crush a person.
So it was like, okay, well, okay, I'm obviously crap at art. And my sister is a brilliant artist. She did art, she's gone into fashion design and all sorts. So I guess I was comparing myself to her too. So I just put it down and just like, I'm not good enough. But
Yeah.
the joy I get from just sitting with a blank piece of paper and, you know, drawing, or, I thought my sketches of dolphins were brilliant, but, nobody else liked them. But so what? I think they're great. I think
They're
I'm just,
not for anyone else really, are they? And you
it's
can
just like,
choose
yeah,
to
great.
choosing to share them or not. Yeah, I've had I've always loved art too. It sounds like we were living parallel lives in different
Yeah,
continents.
yeah,
Because I loved art too and creativity, and didn't pursue it. I chose history and English instead of creative art, but I have done it all my life. I've realized that, creativity has followed me everywhere, and it can show up in different ways. It can show up in that you're decorating, or I also love cooking, which can be really creative. I have got two kids, and when they were little, I made costumes for them, and made houses out of boxes, and did all
yeah,
sorts of creative things like that. And it's okay. It's not for commercial use, but it still helped me feel like I was flourishing, um,
yeah.
in a way that other things don't.
I
So
think um, I've started to use like photography as a kind of way of expressing myself. Um, so like, for example, like this last couple of weeks, I haven't really written any poetry, and I haven't really been doing any art, and I was kind of beating myself up for that.
mhm,
Oh, you idiot, you haven't really done anything. You've had loads of time because you've been at home. But then I was like, looked at my camera reel, and I was like, I've taken loads of photographs when I've been out and about
yeah,
of things like weeds
yeah,
and flowers, but they're really good pictures, I think. I went to the park yesterday and watched a squirrel for 10 minutes and took pictures of the squirrel. And I'm like, that's art. When we're taking pictures of nature and we're taking pictures of the things around us, even just, you'll see a bit of litter on the ground, you take a picture of it. That's art because we're creating something from it. We can look at that and it'll inspire me to write at some point. Um,
mhm,
and just, yeah, if I share it, or if I don't share it, it's still art. If it stays on my camera reel on my phone, it's still art because I've looked at that, I've looked at the perspective, I've thought
mhm,
about what it means, and I've taken a photograph of it. So it's embracing all the types
yeah,
of creativity that we have, and sometimes it'll be great and we'll share it and we'll make money from it, and sometimes we won't, and it's
mm,
still you, it's still what fascinates you, it's still what feeds you, what makes you flourish, what makes you come alive. And
yeah.
yeah,
It's
I
it's
think that's
it's it's all about that, isn't it? Really, I mean, as you said, maybe you make money from it, maybe you don't, but it's that joy that it brings your life. Perhaps the pressure to make money makes it harder because you're like putting pressure on yourself to
yeah,
create when you need maybe time out, or you need a different creative pursuit, for
yeah,
example.
yeah. I think the pressure to make money off art, and that feeling that if you're good, you can make money from it, but if you're not good, you
Mm,
shouldn't dream of asking for money,
yeah.
is a really big thing. And I think places like Substack have been kind of partly to blame for that because there's a lots of kind of paid subscriptions, and feeling like, oh, well, I can't turn that paid subscriptions on because I'm not as good a poet as they are, or I'm not creating anything like them, or I'm not famous yet, I haven't written a book yet.
Mm,
So that kind of, oh, I daren't do that. It can hold you back a
mm,
little. Um, but then, I've turned subscriptions on. I was going to start kind of sticking stuff behind a paywall, but I thought, no, you know what? I'll just say if anyone wants to subscribe, and a couple of people have, and that's great. So,
mm,
um, but I don't look at it as this is going to be an income.
yeah.
This is just, I'm sharing stuff. If people want to help me along, it'll help me
Mm,
to be able to afford to pay for other subscriptions and
yeah,
all
that's
that kind of
right.
stuff. So it's great to be able to free yourself from that
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
have to. Some
Mm,
people, I think, are wary of that, or maybe going, well, I feel like I need to offer somebody something. I'm like, no, I'm just sharing what I share, and if people like that, then they
mm.
can pay me. They can choose not to. Doesn't bother
Yeah.
me. I'm not going to cry about it.
Yeah, I feel a little bit the same because you do have a tendency as a human being to sit and read all of these other people's stuff, and they're like, yes, I've got this many paid subscribers. Like, you can go around in that loop of
Yeah,
like comparing yourself to other people who are different people who live in different situations, who have a different
Absolutely.
life, who, you know, there's so many things that differ. And and yes, it would be nice in a perfect, amazing society that we could all earn a living and be creative and do the things that we love and bring
Mm,
us joy. And sadly, we don't live in that society
no,
yet. And sharing as much as possible. I'm the same. I kind of oscillate between what do I do, and you sort of second guess. And I think going with what lights me up has been really good.
yeah,
It
that's what
sounds
I've
like,
decided to do. Just,
yeah,
it brings me joy. I feel like sharing it.
yeah,
If you want to pay for
exactly.
that, great. If you don't, I'm still sharing it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that kind of the balance between creativity and earning an income, which can be so I don't know, it's difficult. We're surrounded all the time by, you know, monetize everything and do this and you know, follow these rules, and you're just like I don't want
Exactly.
to stop it.
I feel like it restricts in some way. It's very, for me at least, as I said to you about writing poetry rules, like I don't want to be told how to do something. I don't want to suddenly have, all these people paying for something and I feel like, oh, it's Tuesday morning, I've got to write something
Yeah,
down. I
yeah.
want to just show up when I show up and
Mhm.
write what I want to write and not feel like I've got to perform. I'm not a performing monkey, I'm a
No,
human being.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and we ebb and flow with our energy and with our creativity. It's not,
absolutely.
you know, we can't just pluck stuff out of the air.
Yeah.
It is, you know, we have lives to live as well, don't we?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, I'm just kind of thinking about some other questions that I'd like to ask you. Um, if you could go back and whisper something to your younger self, what would it be?
Ooh, I think it would probably be something along the lines of you are good enough,
Mm,
you are unique, you have something that is valuable to offer the world, and don't listen to anyone that tells you otherwise.
don't listen to that art teacher, that's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. My first job when I was a young girl, I was like 16, just left school, and I got a job as a trainee dental nurse. And it was just to pay the bills, really, just to make sure my mum had a bit of rent coming in from me, and teach me how to. I didn't want to be a dental nurse for the rest of my life, but it was a good job. It was okay. So,
Mm,
and I passed out a couple of times because of the smells in the room.
yeah.
And the dentist said to me, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go. You will never make anything of yourself. Not like, don't go into dentistry, don't become a dental nurse. He said, you will never make anything of yourself. And
That's
at the time, well, for years, I was like, I'm never going to be anything because he told me that when I was 16. I mean, it was completely
the
irrelevant.
dentist told me, what the hell?
A man told me once I'd never make anything of myself. But now I look back and I go, I really wish I could see him again and just go, screw you, I made something of myself. It wasn't the best dental nurse in the world or, whatever it
Well,
was. I was 16, just kind of just out of school.
that's shocking. I mean, a 16-year-old. I mean, look, I'm completely traumatized by dentists. I still I need to almost have, you know, a bucket of Valium before I go into a dentist. So I would have been passing out from the smells, I reckon. That is just hideous that someone could just crush.
Yeah, like what a way to crush somebody. Like
Huh.
I could have taken it, I guess, if he'd just gone, look, maybe dental nursing isn't for you.
Exactly. And you'd be like, yeah, probably you're right.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll go and do something else. But no, you will never make anything of yourself. It stuck with me for years, and I think probably partly why I didn't do anything creative, why I didn't do anything, you know, put
Mm,
myself out there very much because I thought people are judging me on that. They're all going to say the same thing. You'll never make anything of yourself. And I guess I'd always felt that about myself anyway,
mm.
growing up. experiencing stuff, negative stuff from the church or
Mm.
whatever, I always felt that, and that was like the nail
Mhm.
in my coffin to say, see, somebody else has noticed it now. You'll never
Yeah.
make anything of yourself. And it held me back for a long time. And I guess
Yeah.
remembering that as an adult, once I had kids myself, thinking I wouldn't want anyone to say that to my children. You know,
Oh,
just the thought of somebody saying that, I'm thinking, my kids are in their 30s now, but if somebody had said that to them when they were 16, I'd have gone at them with a big bat, and don't.
totally. I'm there with you. I would have been, "Yeah, you wanna go? Do you really?" I was like, "Take that cricket bat to the kneecaps."
I've always thought, since obviously having kids, and I've always, then neither of them are kind of like truly academic people. They've both gone into, well, my eldest son's in the music field, and my youngest son plays in a band, and they're both really musical. And I think I just celebrate them for actually going and doing what they love and getting stuck in. They don't want to. My youngest has got a 9 to 5 job, but also plays in his band, and I'm like, yeah, you put all your heart and soul into your music because it's who you are. It's what makes you you.
Yeah.
You might not get degrees and qualifications and whatever, but who cares? Just be yourself. And
Yeah, it's interesting how we interpret that the idea of getting degrees and qualifications and how that becomes, I mean, like it's in a system. We're in this system where some other people a long time ago decided that that was what meant
that's
you
success.
were a certain level, and whereas, but a carpenter isn't, except they can make you a whole kitchen, build your house,
Yeah.
perhaps all of this furniture. Like, everybody has a place and a role and flourish in different ways. It would be boring if everyone was an academic. The world wouldn't work.
It's that definition of success, isn't it? What's the definition of success? Oh, I've got something to show for it. Like, is that the definition of success? I don't think it's, necessarily having something to show for it. It's living a life well and being comfortable with who you are and embracing failure and mistakes and fucking perfectionism and just living your life the way you want to live it. And my friends might come up to me and say, "Oh, so and so is a lawyer now." I'm like, great, good for them. I'm glad that they're doing what they love. My sons are into music, and
And I'd wanna punch
mostly
myself in the face being a lawyer. There's a lot of jobs that I just like, "No way, man." Imagine, all the a dentist is one of them, I have to say that would be just
yeah,
like
I wouldn't recommend it.
playing with people's your fingers in people's mouths, like, it's just
It wasn't my favourite job.
I mean, I love that people wanna do it, good on them, but
Yeah,
whoa, if that lights you up, please be a dentist, but if it doesn't, run away.
do it. Don't be forced into something that isn't you.
Run
Find
away
the
and write
shape.
poetry.
Yeah, find your shape and fill that.
Yeah, exactly. Stop filling people's cavities. Oh, I want to ask you, what are you unlearning at this stage of your life?
I, am unlearning that I have to fit in
Mm,
um, to be accepted. I'm in a process of kind of probably unlearning a lot of spiritual stuff that I
mm,
grew up with. Um, about so I was a Christian for many, many, many years. I wouldn't say I was a Christian now. I still believe in God, but I don't go to church or anything like that. And I'm kind of unlearning a lot of the rules and
yeah.
restrictions that placed upon me.
Mhm,
Um, that I have to live life in a certain way to be accepted. Um, and I'm unlearning that, I have to fit into other people's expectations of me. That I'm still loved if I don't go to church or I don't follow the rules or I don't kind of believe certain things about hell or God or whatever, that
mhm.
I'm still loved and I'm still accepted and I'm still good person. And I think that held me back for many years, where I just felt, I was never good enough. I'm never going to fit in. I'm never going to be somebody, not good enough for God. Even sometimes I would feel. So I'm unlearning all of that. That I am I am enough as I am. And that's okay. And I don't have to believe all these things. Actually, I'm okay with that.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's enormous.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is.
It really is. I mean, that's like a massive shift and so much to shed, to get rid of.
Yeah.
Those really entrenched beliefs and frameworks that kind of, carry whole cultures, really.
And just really weighty expectations of people, like I went to church since I was a baby, really. My parents took me there, and that kind of really expectations, you will do this, you will do that, you will become this type of person, and we'll be happy with you if you're like this or that. And never feeling like I matched up, never feel like I quite made it. Like, oh, I didn't quite get there, did I? I didn't become a leader in the church, or I didn't become, world famous or anything. I don't even just kind of like a good enough Christian kind of thing, which I don't think there is a thing.
Oh.
Yeah, just never feeling quite good enough. And I guess over the years, the last 10 years of deconstructing my faith and my beliefs has really been pivotal in helping me discover who I am. I'm not what the church tells me, or I'm not kind of what other Christians might think, or,
Is it gone hand in hand with the sort of exploration and opening up of your creativity?
Yeah. It's really helped me explore my creativity. I think a lot of it started when I was starting to unravel my faith a little bit, and I would write a lot of poetry about that. Still kind of afraid to kind of let go of things. I was kind of like picking at threads and kind of like unraveling a jumper, and I was kind of like picking at threads and going, oh, I don't really want that there, and that can go and this can go, but I really must hang on to this because otherwise I'll have lost everything, and I can't lose everything. I need that jumper, I need to have it, it keeps me warm at night. And then a little bit more ago, and I ended up with like a square of wool that's like that's not going to keep you warm. Like, actually no, but actually I'm warm, so don't think I need it.
That is the most stunning metaphor. Really, that is just beautiful that you're left with this little bit that you actually don't need because you just realize that you already are warm. It's divine. I love it. What a
I guess I haven't chucked the baby out with the bathwater. I still believe there is a God, and I still believe in God, and I'll still pray from time to time, but I don't, it's not my anchor type of thing. It's not kind of holding
and it's
me down
personal. Maybe it's rather than being imposed on you and the rules and regulations and structures and all of that imposed on you. It's coming from within. It's a personal faith.
Absolutely, yeah.
More created for who you are as a person rather than being judgmental. It sounds like that's been
absolutely
experience anyway.
Definitely, and just kind of freeing myself from that has made me. It's made me want to share my poetry. It's made me want to share who I am, because I'm like, I'm not afraid of what they might think. I'm not afraid of what somebody will say about that particular poem, or it's peppered with F words or swear words or whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
Nothing like saying fuck. It's
really absolutely. It's the best. It's so freeing.
It really is.
A friend and I both went through trauma at about the same time. And I just remember both sitting in a cafe one day with her, and we both just were swearing across the table. I was like, fuck this. And she was like, yeah, fuck them. And I was like, yeah, fuck them. It was just like, if anyone's listening to us now, they'll think, what? But yeah, it was just so freeing just to be able to learn to swear without feeling like God was smite me.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I haven't grown up with that, so it was more, what would mum and dad say to me.
Oh, absolutely,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure they both still internally cringe when I drop the
Yeah,
F-bomb, which I do because I'm a fucking grown human being, you know?
absolutely.
I'll fucking swear if I want. And I did grow up in country Australia, where, yeah, there was a lot of swearing that
I love
happened.
Australia.
Yeah, yeah. Not super, super far rural, but yeah, pretty rural. It was, there was a
We
lot of
went to
swearing.
Australia, my husband and I. Well, he wasn't my husband there. We met in December, and in April of the year after we met, we decided to just go travelling around Australia for 3 months. That was my biggest, you know, fuck you. I'm just going to do what I want. I'm just
Amazing.
don't care. Packed in our jobs and just took a camper van from Melbourne up to Cairns and
Yeah.
across up to Darwin down the middle. Back
Wow.
loved it, loved it. But I just that experience of being in Australia with, Australians don't care. They just don't give a shit. It's just, you know, and that was like, oh my goodness, I'm in this place where like people are free and they say what they think and it's brilliant and I love it. And I wish I could stay, but I've only got a 3 month visa.
Yeah, I think
Consider hiding out in the outback and never coming home.
yeah, it is. It is different, and I hear it in the language people use often, especially on a platform like Substack where you're reading what and there's notes and people write quick things and I realize that and I have a lot of friends from the UK in, via Substack but also outside of that too and just how they talk it's kind of like yeah I'm quite glad I grew up in Australia. There's a lot of seems like comes growing up in the UK comes with some baggage at times.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they don't want you to flourish quite as much as you
No,
should.
I think they want you to flourish as long as you flourish the way that they want you to
Yeah,
flourish.
yeah. In this little box, as
In a
long as you're this
box,
colour
it's a
with
straw
these
box, a
petals.
straw box.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not a bigger box, it's still a box.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. We're all about smashing boxes, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
Although that could sound really bad. Sorry, anyone who has a dirty mind.
Anyone who loves boxes.
Another question. What do people misunderstand about you?
Ooh. I mean, I guess they just misunderstand me in
Mm,
in total. I'm very passionate about certain things. Certain things will really get my goat, and I'll really just speak up about them, and I'll get louder and louder. You can tell when I'm passionate about something because my voice rises. I become a bigger person. I'll passionately spout out, and I'll maybe swear, and I'll maybe shout and whatever. People take that for anger.
mm,
Take that for kind of rage or just kind of like, oh, well, she's just on one again. And I'm just like, no, I'm showing you my passion. I'm showing you my heart. And
mm.
you're seeing this red mist around me. And there's no red mist. I'm just shouting because I need you to hear what I've got to say.
It's interesting that too. Do you feel like sometimes being a woman and being passionate and speaking your truth is harder?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for many years, and especially growing up in the church, it was, women weren't allowed to do
Mm,
anything, say anything, speak up. And I was always the one that was asking questions. I was always the one that would go, but why can't we do this? Why does God not believe in women as leaders? Why does God not let women speak? We should have a voice. We should be able to speak up. And it was just like, oh, she's just ignore her. She doesn't know what she's saying. She's stupid. She's, making stuff up or she's ranting and raving again. Just ignore her. And I
mm,
think that's the one thing, I guess, that people misunderstand. That I'm like, no, I want to know the truth. I want to know the answers. And I'm asking questions because I'm passionate about it. Because if I feel this way, there'll be other people that feel that way. And I want to be, I guess I imagine myself as this kind of like pioneer going in front of all these other girls and women behind me that are going, but we can't find the way. Like, come with me, I'll show you. You know,
Yeah. I love that.
We'll have to ask a few questions and bash a few doors down, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to kind of speak my mind, and I'm not afraid to ask all the questions necessary.
And maybe ask the questions that a lot of other people want to ask but don't know how.
Yeah, and I'll stand there and demand the answers. I'm like, don't give me that crap about, you know, what the Bible says. Tell me exactly where it says that and why it says that. And were we talking about the same thing? Is it contextually relevant? Although, you know, for example, you know, but there's lots of other, you know, real life situations. You know, why are women not treated to the same medical respect as men are? Why do women have to suffer through the menopause? And why are all these illnesses invisible and not spoken about? Why are you gaslighting me? You know, those kind of things. It's like, I'm going to jolly well tell you that I'm pissed off with the way that I'm treated sometimes as a woman and the way other women are treated. And I've got passionate again, you can tell.
You have, and it's fantastic. You're just fucking flourishing. It's like happening right in front of us. You can hear it in your voice. If you're watching, you can see it in your face and your whole body. And that's how it should be. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you
thank you.
On here today. Really, really enjoyed speaking to you. Yeah, really great. So all the links, everything, if you want to read Lisa's work and her amazing poetry, they'll be in the show notes. Thank you again for a fabulous discussion and hearing about your flourishing life, Lisa.
21 out there that's not flourishing, flourish away.
Yeah,
Passion,
boxes. Exactly. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Flucking Flourishing podcast, where we say a bold yes to growth, mess, and midlife magic. If you loved this chat, make sure you're subscribed, share it with your fellow Queenagers, and perhaps leave a little love in the form of a review. It helps more fabulous humans find me. Until next time, keep flourishing your way, no fluff, no filters.